What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 109. Dylan, what's going on, dude?
Man, I'm just patiently waiting for my turn to shoot a bird because all my buddies are out there getting it done and the weather's right for it. So,
I know you see all these people in like Mississippi and Georgia, which we'll get to that here in a minute, but it's awesome, man. Seeing all these people get birds. I am so jealous. I don't think I've ever really been this jacked up for a turkey season. I mean, it's in my blood. I've been doing it for years, but I got like the perfect lineup of states again this year. And I am itching beyond itching to get into a turkey woods. Like, it's bad right now.
yeah, it's like the older you get, the more you can do, and then each year you're learning more and you're kind of just, man, it's just, yeah, it's wild. I'm ready just to shoot some turkey, enjoy the friends and, you know, chase
Yeah.
some more turkey.
But our guest this week's Alex DeBord. What's going on, dude?
What's up, fellas? Appreciate y'all having me on.
Absolutely. Speaking of Georgia guys, how did your weekend go?
The weekend went very well. Our youth season opened on Saturday morning, and in back-to-back years, my son was able to tag on opening morning with Nick and I, and it was absolutely amazing. We went right back to the same spot we were in last year, a little food plot I've got on top of a ridge, and didn't hear the birds we heard last year, but we heard one pretty far off, and my son was able to get him fired up with a trumpet. He's 10, and
It's
got him fired
awesome.
up with the trumpet, and got him gobbling, and some hens fired up, and then Nick cut down on his mouth call. We brought them on in. They walked into, gosh, I think he came to 18 yards, and he
Nice.
smoked him with his 410. He's got a little Stevens 301, and it's a bad dude with those TSS. It's
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 crazy.
nasty. And we went yesterday morning, this is Monday, but we went Sunday morning, and want to just a recap of why that hunt took place. We took my one of my really good friends' daughters hunting, and Nick has a golf tournament every year, and at that golf tournament we did an auction this year. And during that auction, we were raising money for a friend of ours, Cody Mayo. His dad actually suffered an illness and went blind, and
Dang.
we were doing a fundraiser for him. And Terry West, a friend of ours, printed an 11 by 17 poster of me standing with my mullet out on our pool deck, and we auctioned the poster off. Well, it gets to $500, and I'm like, man, we'll throw in a spring turkey hunt with Nick and I. So one of the ladies there, it was actually Cody's mother-in-law, bought the poster and gave it to her grandkids. So we got to take them hunting yesterday morning, and lucky enough, it was a very successful hunt. We took down two birds yesterday morning. Giant. I'm not talking about two jakes. This is two hammer birds. I mean,
Two
19.
dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'm telling you, inch and 5/16, inch and a quarter spurs on both of them, and 9.5 and 10.5 inch beard, 19-pound easterns. I mean, just giant, just gobbled the
Nice.
whole. I mean, flew off the roost, killed the first one. 40 minutes later, the other one comes strutting in, satellite gobbler, and we put him in the truck bed. So it was
And even
great.
bigger next to the kids, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness, it was them girls was like on cloud nine, and they're hunters. They've been on our podcast several times. We've had them on our Chasing Weekends YouTube page. They've shot some deer and stuff, and they're very very good, adamant teenage girls about hunting. They're 15 and 16, and they are absolute hammers on game. First turkey hunt that ever went on though, and thank good Lord we was able to be with them on that one. So
That's awesome. Well, I guess I kind of skipped over a question I always ask right off the bat, but for somebody that doesn't know you, Alex, introduce yourself a little bit.
my name's Alex DeBord. I am co-owner of Talk About It Outdoors and Chasing Weekends, located in North Georgia. Nick Wilson and I started this deal back in 2020. It's been an amazing ride for us. We've had so many great blessings and opportunities come to us. I couldn't have imagined being anywhere else at this point in my life. It literally probably steered the course of my life when we started it. I'm just an old farm boy, born and raised in North Georgia. I live on the same piece of property that I grew up on. My cousin built my house in 1995, went through a divorce and lost it, and then we bought it back. My wife and I did in 2013. I've got two beautiful children, Sawyer and Sadie. They're 10 and 7. I've had an amazing life growing up on the farm. I deer hunted my whole life. I had squirrel dogs, coon dogs. We've spent majority of my youth chasing squirrels and stuff because anybody that knows me knows I can't sit still much. So deer hunting was kind of out of the question with my dad when I was little. And So we got into deer hunting when I was 12. I took my first deer, and from there it just kind of evolved, man. I mean, I've been started going to the Midwest in 2011, traveling to Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri. We spent some time in Iowa hunting through the years during shotgun season. We had some friends up. We'd go up and party hunt with them during the shotgun season, and I just fell in love with anything in the outdoors. I work for a living still. I don't do this for a living. I wish I did, but well,
Right.
I do sometimes. But you boys can test this. It becomes a job. You don't want to do it no more. It gets busy. So
Yeah.
we can't all be like Paul Campbell and just travel around, shoot turkeys and talk about turkeys all the time. So
I
You get to
can't wait
dress
for
up
him to hear
nice.
that.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Paul, I listened to that episode that y'all did with Paul, and I messaged you, Brett, and told you, and I really was excited to come on and do this show with y'all because y'all do an amazing job with it, and not taking anything away from anyone else's podcast, but I have to pick and choose the ones I listen to because some folks just they don't do a good job with it, and I don't mean that disrespectfully or anything, but it's just not my forte. And you
Sure.
guys do an amazing job of your show. I'm proud to have it on my playlist now, listening to it. So
Hey, I
Thank you.
really appreciate that, man. Thank you. It means a lot for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's talk about your podcast. Talk about it outdoors. When did you start all that, and how did it all come to be?
So Nick Wilson made the decision he wanted to do a podcast, and he tells it all the time that he had saw me on social media and everything, and I had a pretty good following with Facebook and Instagram and everything. And I like to write. I've always been a writer. I like to write short stories. I like to write poetry. Just put Facebook posts on, and it would get a good reaction out of people. And Nick was listening to podcasts, and he called me one day. He said, "Hey, let's start a podcast." And just a backstory, Nick and I met in high school. He was a year older than I was, and so I've known him since I was 13. He was 14 or 15, whatever he was, and we spent a lot of time around each other. We kind of faded apart, but we were still buddies. We just weren't really close. And he called me up and he said, "Let's start a podcast." And I was like, "All right, what the hell's a podcast?" I had no idea. I mean, and so he told me, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." And this was in the spring of 2020, and so went on into the summer. My dad was actually remodeling a house. We got to talking about it there, and he came actually helped us work on the house a little bit. And he made mention of it, and we kind of bounced the idea around. I was like, yeah, whatever. And this was right before July 4th. And July 25th, I had an unfortunate accident up in Tennessee with a firework where I blew my thumb nearly completely off. And so I had a lot of time to sit around and think. And I'll be honest with you, during that time was a really hard phase for me because I had spent my entire life working with my hands. I hunted, I fished, I did everything. And doctors had pretty much told me, and in a way to kind of scare me into understanding how serious the situation was, because I was a jovial guy. I really didn't pay a lot of attention. I'm like, all right, I'll get over this. And doctors were like, you're probably going to have no use of that thumb. And so it really put things in perspective for me and kind of made me slow down a little bit and just realize, all right, you can't do this fast living your whole life. You're going to have to slow down at some point. And so me and the good Lord got right with each other, sitting here on the porch. And I called Nick up and I was like, look, I said, let's start this thing. So we bought the equipment and wound up going to Illinois in November and taking a really nice deer with a crossbow because I couldn't draw my compound bow. And it
Right.
was kind of an eye-opening experience for me on, facing adversity and how to get through it or whatever it may be. And so through that, we started channeling the idea of the podcast, and it was born November the 19th, 2020. We did our first episode, and here we are in 2025, 300 episodes nearly later, and it's been an amazing ride.
That's awesome. How did you come up with the name Talk About It Outdoors?
So I had a little Facebook page called Talk About It Outdoors, and it was something I just started doing. We videoed some stuff, put some stuff out there or whatever. And me and my buddies, we'd always say, talk about it. We'd see a truck, we'd be like, dang, talk about it, or whatever. And so it just kind of fit with a podcast. It was like, well, what are we doing? Well, we're talking about it. And so we started the podcast at that name and we just kept it. And I'll be honest with you, it was hard to brand. It was hard to come up with logos. I mean, and finally we said, you know what? We're just going to use the name. That's the logo. We'll use it. We'll create some characters or whatever. And then we shortened it down to TAI on some of our stuff. We've got our hats that we do, and it's got TAI mixed into the logos and things like that. So that's pretty much where the name was born for that. And then we can talk about the idea of starting a YouTube channel because that was a whole nother fiasco in itself. I mean, we kept it Talk About It Outdoors. but it gained no traction, like, whatsoever. It was so tough, and we were putting a ton of effort into these videos and everything, and then Nick's like, "We're changing the name. This is what we wanna do," and there was another guy that was in with us, and he's still part of it a little bit. He's just busy. His name's Cody, and, Cody and I were like, "We're not changing the name. We don't wanna rebrand all this stuff or whatever," and that's when Chasing Weekends was born, and Nick came up with the idea, came up with the name. He said, "This is what we need to do," and he kinda pitched it to us, and we was like, "Alright, cool, let's run with it," and man, when we rebranded, it's taken a little while to get going, but it's really starting to ramp up now with that idea that we're just common guys working our butts off Monday through Friday, but we're gonna chase the weekends, and that's what we started it with. So, and that's where we're at. And then we can talk later on this whole collar deal if you want to.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, the chasing the weekend, man, for that's so relatable to not even the working man, but I remember being a kid and being in school and being like, God, if I can just get through today, I'm gonna hunt all weekend. Because that was back when you really didn't have responsibilities. So,
Right.
you could really chase the weekend. And then now,
That's
man,
right.
it's the same thing. We don't change, we just get a little bit bigger.
For
Yeah, and
sure.
it's what we like doing. I mean, we hunt through the week a little bit. We take a week off here and there. We're all fortunate to have good good jobs that let us have some vacation time. And so that for us was an idea to bring everyone around us together, and it really has. It's a staple of who we are, and it's been very important to us.
How did you find your guys tackling? I consider it like the YouTube curve. Like at first, I was just throwing stuff together to get it on there as fast as I could, and then I realized it wasn't doing very well, and I was like, I got to slow down with this, really put it together a little bit better. Add some music here. Mess with some exposure and that kind of thing. Really edit this stuff, and I felt like the more I did it, the better I got at editing videos and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's still. I mean, we get one video that'll get 3,000 views. We'll get one that gets 125 views, and I'll tell you, and anybody can argue this all they want. Turkey hunting does not sell YouTube. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, it
People just
does.
don't want to watch it. I mean, I love watching it. I like watching Shane Simpson. I like watching Dave. I watch some of the other guys that are on there. But when it comes down to turkey hunting, now when deer season gets here, that's where we see most of our pickup. So we
Hmm.
started putting a lot of emphasis on it. And I told Nick, if we can get this deer hunting thing figured out, it'll guide us into everything else. Well, there's a flip side of that coin. Most of your big names in the hunting industry got their start in turkey hunting. Michael Waddell, Mark Drury, the Primos guys, Harold Knight, they're turkey hunters, and they're the
Hmm.
biggest names out there in the hunting industry. So, what do you do nowadays to kind of spin the coin the other way? And it's all about what can I put right in front of their face right now? A thumbnail will get you more views than anything. I don't care if you do the best video out there, if you've got a trash thumbnail, because I suck at thumbnails. Dude, I'll let Nick do the thumbnails because I suck at them. I just don't take the time to do it. I'll edit a video for 3 or 4 days, making it right. But when it comes to those thumbnails, I just don't take the time to do them right. And Nick does. And when we started figuring out the thumbnail game, and I do it. I'll watch a YouTube at night or whatever, and I see a cool thumbnail pop up. And I'm like, dang, that's a cool video.
Yeah.
Video sucks, but thumbnail look good.
Hmm.
So we kind of started figuring that out, and then it's helped us a little bit. And by no means are we YouTube superstars by no stretch of the imagination. But at the end of the day, if me and my 10-year-old son 10 years from now can sit down and watch the first turkey he ever killed on film, it's worth it all to me.
Yep.
So,
And he can share it. He can
hmm
take it, show his
Absolutely,
friends,
100%.
and it's so cool because he can explain that story 10 out of 10 times, but until somebody can see it, that's when you can see that kid get that excited, or the admiration that he probably, that the camera catches him, checking you out, looking at you, and there's something that you kind of have to just do it and then look back in 5 years, and then that's when the appreciation will really shine through.
yeah, and I mean every deer y'all got on y'all's wall behind you. The slogan of our show is "Mount the Memories." At the end of every show, we say "Mount the Memories," and every deer head, coyotes, foxes, I can tell you those stories. I may not remember them just from memory, but when I look at that fox or I look at that deer, I look at that deer. I go back to that moment. And it's kind of that way with the videos. You're putting yourself in that moment again, but you're doing it in a different way. So that visual aspect really plays into it a lot. You're putting yourself back in that position and you're mounting a memory. The deer head's great to look at, don't get me wrong, but it's that memory that it sticks to, man. It just gets at you when you think about who was there, what happened. I mean, that's what sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, and you'll catch people come in like a true hunter. Like when I went to Brett's, I'm like, this one, go ahead, tell me about it.
Yeah, right.
Tell me about it. And then like and that's something with the mounts. It's like you said, it's not the mount, it's the memory.
That's
And
right.
and I'm intrigued by. I'll sit down and listen to anybody tell me a story, a hunting story, because if you really listen to it, you can learn something no matter what.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, I went to your guys' YouTube channel earlier when I was putting some notes together and whatnot, and I watched the video of you in North Carolina killing that bird with your 20 gauge. It was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that was a first time trip for me up to North Carolina, and buddy, and like I said before the show got started, last year was the first turkey season I ever got to experience for myself. I had never called turkeys. I had never hunted. I'd been on a few turkey hunts here and there, but when I got down to understanding and learning turkeys, man, I got my butt whipped. I mean, left and right and left and right. And it wasn't that I was doing anything wrong. I was doing things right, but I was not positioning myself in a place to be successful. And we were listening to Sean Grant. We had him on, and Sean said position will beat anything. If you put yourself in the right place, you're going to get that turkey. And it really resonated with me because that's what happened when I went back the second time. We positioned ourselves better, and they didn't come to the decoys. They didn't come. They came to the calling, but we were in a position. Now, don't get me wrong. Turkey was way further than I should have been shooting, but I'd already eat one half of a $350 tag. I was going to at least send it, and I thought I'd shot a Jake up there in North Carolina, and it turned out to be a 10-inch beard, inch hooks. I mean, it was all like, because his beard was hid behind his feathers, and I was like, "That's a Jake." And I grabbed that beard, and I'm like, "Oh no, it ain't a Jake. It's that turkey that whooped me a few months ago is what it wound up being." So
That's awesome, man. Calling competitions, I've been listening to your podcast and seeing all your guys' stuff. What brought you on to be like, man, I want to do this, especially being a new turkey hunter, just jumping into a calling competition. That scared the hell out of me.
did you ever play sports?
Oh, absolutely. I was a huge athlete. I'm a huge sports nut.
So I did as well, and I loved sports growing up. I loved competition, and Nick got started in the whole competition calling thing way before I even thought about being a turkey hunter. And I was watching him do these things. So last year in February, we got back from NWTF, I believe, and it may have been before we went to NWTF. I think it was. It was actually in January. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to this calling contest. You're going with me." And I was like, "All right, fine, I'll go." He said, "Well, you're going to call." And I was like, "Call what?" I said, I ain't no way I'm getting up. I can't even run a turkey call. I said, "Ain't no way." He said, "Well, you need to figure it out." So he got me some mouth calls, and I'd wind up choked on them 90% of the time instead of being able to play the dang things. Couldn't even, I mean, I'd literally go to Yelp and spit it out. I mean, it was terrible. So got a dear friend of mine that lives near here. His name's Clay Townsend. He's an amazing builder. He builds trumpets. He builds pot calls. He's just an amazing builder. I mean, he's won tons of awards, and he uh he had given me the first turkey call that I would say I'd ever had. I mean, and I've had some box call stuff, but the one that I called my own,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a slate over in red cedar, just one of his pots. Give me a striker. I hunted with it that first year. Didn't do no good with it. Didn't kill a single turkey that I called in. I went to Clay's house and I walked in. We're sitting there talking. He said, "What's going on?" He's got a little shop there. I said, "I'm going to a calling contest this weekend." He said, "You are?" I said, "Yeah." Took that pod out of my bag and I set it down on the table. I said, "I need you to show me how to run this." He said, "Well, you need to take that out there and put it back in the truck because that's a hunting call." He said, "That ain't no call on stage call." He said, "You need to go put that up." So he drug out a glass over aluminum Osage call. It had an Osceola feather in it, built in 21, one of his custom calls, and played around on that thing. I went down there, got my teeth kicked in. I mean, when I say nervous, it was like as 900,000 people looking at me. I sound like it was like that striker was like a woodpecker. If a woodpecker sound was on there, if that was on the call list, son, I got a 20, no question about it. I was burning her down, and so I got up there and played. Well, I come off stage, and I just smiled. I just smiled the whole way off stage. I couldn't quit grinning, and I was shaking, and I had this like feeling in me, like, and I don't get nervous much. I'm not a nervous person. Things don't really get to me, and it got to me, and so I think the thing for me, it wasn't that I was scared or anything else, but I wasn't good at something. And I always been good at things I tried, and I wasn't good at this by no stretch of the imagination. So now having an opportunity to learn something, buddy, I have got 40 pot calls now. I've got 24 box calls. I've got her pots. I buy a call a week. I mean, my wife gets on to me all the time. She's like, "You got another turkey call in the mail?" And now it's evolved to this family, and it's evolved to something my son really enjoys doing. And it's I can't explain the feeling you get from the community. You go to a calling contest and spend 8 hours to call for 4 minutes. It ain't about the calling, it's about the callers. And that's when we started that series, the caller series, and we wanted to learn. Nobody was covering competition turkey calling. They
Right.
tried it. NWTF had done a show, trying to follow a podcast. They just didn't keep up with it. We called Matt Stewart, got to talking to Matt about it. We talked to Mark Perdome, and we had developed a relationship with those guys through the KT team, which we can talk about later. But um, it really spun up something that it's took off. When I say amazing, it has opened up. I mean, I'm talking to the likes of, Dave's Talk Turkey Hunting, Matt Van Sice, Mark Perdome. We've had Jason Conrad. We've had Michael Strone. We've had Flop Bryant. We've had all of these competition callers, Strutton, Carolina, and it's just an amazing family of guys, John Miller and Corey Powell. And I name these names and people don't know them, but I promise you, if you get in that family, man, there's deer hunting, turkey hunting, there's nothing I've ever experienced that is humbling on stage, but it is a blessing to be around those people. There's nothing, I don't care what anything you do in this outdoor space. If you get involved with that family of calling folks, it's unreal. I'm telling you, it's a blessing you can't even describe.
Well, I like that, like on your podcast, like you were going through like the contests of the weekend. And I
Yep.
was like, holy shit. Like I had never really heard of anybody, like you said, nobody had really been covering it. And you went through some names, and I actually knew a couple. And, like when we started messaging back and forth, you're like, you had John Wall on. I'm like, dude, he's awesome. He's a great dude.
Met John through calling contests. Just got to know him at an NWTF and became really close. We got to knowing John through the calling contest, but it spun up to so many different things. And reading them, when you take somebody's name and you speak it, you should always speak it with respect. And when we read that off on there, we always try to read through all the names and pronounce them correct way. Of course, Jed Paranish and his Paranish has he'd kill me because I told him I read his name off and I was like, well, he's going to punch me in the mouth. Well, he walked me up to me in the NWTF. He said, "Oh, you a punch in the mouth, I hear." And I was like, who? I had no idea who he was. He's like, "I'm Jed Paranish." I was like, "Oh, Paranish." He's like, "You actually got it right." So, and it's just it's a cool way to be able to share something with people. You're never going to see that share. You'll see a Facebook post, and Shane's got the turkey calling contest page on Facebook, and they post the results. But being able to read those results, man, it's so cool. You get a message from guys like Moose Conklin. Never knew Moose a day in my life. He lives in New York City. Me and Moose message every other day now. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. Just a great human being. And I never would have known him had I not got involved in turkey calling.
Well, one of the names I noticed when you read the names off was your son. And,
Mhm.
you guys were able to hold actually an NWTF sanctioned calling competition for, your team held an event. Talk about that, what went into it, all that good stuff.
Well, turkey calling contests are not an easy thing to do. If you're going to put one together, you need to know what you're doing. You need to have support mechanism. Pistol Creek Outdoors, the Drake family, absolutely amazing people to be involved with here in Georgia. They put on turkey calling contests all over the Southeast. They hold the Georgia State contest. They hold the one at Perry. They hold one down at Columbus, and they're very well versed and knowledgeable. Anyone who knows turkey calling or turkey hunting in the Southeast knows who Joe Drake is. He's been with Realtree. He's an absolutely amazing humanitarian first and foremost, but he's absolutely an amazing person to be involved with in the turkey hunting community. And he, along with Pistol Creek, they came to our contest the first time. They didn't come to the first one. They came to the second one. They gave us some feedback on how to do the first one. The second one, Nick and I had our idea about how we wanted to run it, and we put it into play. We found a really good venue. We found a really good place to have it. It was at the Mill on Etowah show. It was an outdoor event. We set the stage up. Want to do a better job of that in the future. Wound up having over 50 callers show up to our contest, which is huge in the turkey calling contest game. And went through it. I got second place again. I finished second in the amateur division twice now. I've had my butt kicked all over the Southeast, but Sawyer, he finished second there. And it was just great to be able to hold an event like that and get the feedback that we had a really good event. We'd had a good thing going on. So to be able to do that again and have such success with it, it wouldn't have been possible without Joe and John Browning with Pistol Creek and Tom and everyone else that was involved with it.
That's awesome, man. I mean, is it like, was it a thing where you had to be there like all weekend, or was it just like a 1-day thing?
No, contests are 1-day thing. We get there. Nick and I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we'll rewind a little bit and I'll kind of tell how, if anyone hears this show and they want to set up a calling contest. So the first thing you need to do is get in touch with Matt Stewart at the NWTF. You have to make it a sanctioned contest, because if you're going to have a viable contest, you want to have those spots so someone can qualify for Grand Nationals. That's going to draw the crowd. Okay. So get in touch with Matt Stewart. It's $50. They send you your scorecards, they send you a banner, and they put it on the registry online that you're going to have a contest. Then you can start promoting it on social media. Hey, we're doing this. Hey, we're doing that. Yada, yada, yada. And you have to have a certain level of divisions in there. You're going to have a senior open, which is for 21 and older. It's any device. So you can run any device you want to in the senior open. Then you have the friction division, senior friction, 21 and older. Then you're going to have the amateur division, which is your anyone who's never won a hunter or finished top 3 in one of the senior divisions, and they can call in that. Then you're going to have your juniors, which is 15 to 10, and then you're going to have your Polts division, which is 10 and under. And you'll have Goblin and Allen in there. And the biggest thing I can tell you, though, is get involved with people that know how to call or know how to judge a turkey calling contest, because you may know what a turkey sounds like, and I'm not disputing that. And you are supposed to judge turkey. However, there is a very clear understanding of how you need to judge a turkey calling contest. And if you do it the right way and you hold a good contest, you'll draw more people to your next one. Because we went from 22 callers to 50, and we're hoping for 75 to 100 at the next one. So you can listen to one of our shows about how to hold a contest or whatever for the nitty gritty details. You can send me a message and we can help you out with it. But it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of reward in the end. Sandy Brady did our trophies for us. We gave out, we spent a ton of money on trophies. We had some really good sponsors that got behind us on this thing, and Sandy's the trophy king of calling contests. So if you ever go to one, you see the big trophies at Grand Nationals, whatever.
Yeah.
Sandy builds all those trophies. I think he said he built 200 something trophies for Grand Nationals this year. So
Wow.
Dang. Yeah, we got to see one of those last week with Dave Owens. It was behind him as he was doing the thing. I'm like, look at that hardware back there, man.
absolutely amazing person for the sport of turkey calling and turkey hunting in general. Dave's a great guy. He's a Georgia boy. He grew up 20 minutes down the road, 30 minutes down the road from us. So we know Dave well. He's a great guy. Set up right across from him at NWTF. He's involved with the KT team as we are, and it's just a great person to have a conversation with anytime.
So when you mentioned the KTT, what exactly is that?
So the KT team is Kerry Terrell and Jason Beard. They're located down in southeastern Georgia. We met them not long after we'd started the podcast, and Jason Beard is a quadriplegic. He can move nothing from his neck down, and he is a bright spirit that anyone in this world should get to know. And he and Kerry Terrell started the KT team, and it was to take injured, sick, or afflicted individuals back into the outdoors and get them involved in the outdoors. Kerry Terrell's a multi-time Grand National winner. I want to say it's in excess of 15, could be 20. Has won every prestigious award that you could ask for in turkey calling. And he and Jason started this deal, and we had Jason on the show, and Nick and I, it hit us real quick. We need to get involved with this. So every year we go down and we actually hunt with those guys. They take a group of guys out. They do it multiple times throughout the year. And one of our very own team members, Christopher King, he has spinal bifida and he's bound to a wheelchair now. And he's part of the KT team too. So we asked him to come on. He's a local guy. He's part of our team. He's a competition caller, a hell of a call builder. He builds our signature series calls and builds our turkey calls for Talk About It Outdoors and Chasing Weekends. And they're just a great group of guys that do something that we take for granted every day. I mean, we get up out of bed every morning and put our shoes on, put our pants on, go to work. Probably not in that order. Probably put your pants on first, unless you like me, you forget sometimes. But they just get these folks, give them something to look forward to, and getting back into the outdoors. I mean, you got to think about it. What would you do if somebody took that away from you, or what if life took that away from you?
Man, I would be an absolute wreck. We were talking earlier about being just so pumped to be in the turkey woods. I couldn't imagine if I was that pumped to be in the turkey woods and I didn't have nobody to take me, or I couldn't move or whatever. I would be a very sad individual.
Well, they go and they get out into the woods. I mean, Jason has a device that hooks to the front, and he moves it with his nose, and he blows into a straw to pull the trigger.
That's
And
awesome.
I mean, it's cool to see. We've been down and we've spent time with him, and I mean, you'll never meet anybody in the room when you're sitting in there with Jason who's smiling more than him. He's the happiest person in the room, and he's just an amazing person to spend time with and around, and all of them are. I mean, KT, I wish I could be a friend that KT's been to Jason in my life, because he spends his time helping him out and helping all those other out. And it's not just them; they've got an entire team. Angie, KT's wife, they're involved with everything, and then you have people like Matt Van Sice, Mark Perdome, and Dave that go down and hunt with them and raise awareness for them. And they do a ton of stuff. They're just great people. And if you don't know about what they are, look up the ktteam.org. You can find all their information there. We do a fundraiser for them every year through our podcast and everything. In some way, shape, or form, we're always involved with them. And as far as Nick and I are concerned, we'll always be involved with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of them. I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
Absolutely.
I've heard you talk about it a few times, and watched your video on YouTube. Trumpets. How was getting into that and the learning curve for that and whatnot?
Got one right here.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I'll never go far without it.
That's awesome.
That's a Kevin Dorsey. Kevin's right here in North Georgia. Kevin builds the best trumpet in the world to me. I mean, now right behind him, my great friend Clay Townsend probably builds the next best one in my opinion. But developed from a wing bone. This was the wing bone. This is a Turpin style trumpet. You've got the Jordan style. This is a Tom Turpin basically design. It's got a bigger barrel at the end. The Jordan style was more like a cane yelper with a straight barrel. Of course, it's been way dolled up from an old wing bone call. I'm not a big fan of a wing bone just because it draws air a little different than this, but it's the turkey call that I fell in love with because nobody else was using it. And when you start talking about turkeys, you want to give them something they ain't heard before. Well, how many people's got a cluck mouth call or a nightingale box call or a primo slate call or whatever it may be. Ain't many people out there now. Now they have Dave's run this for us. He's got everybody playing these things. He's playing his Prud'homme, but to me, it's a game changer. I love it. Now, if you watch any videos of ours or hear us talk, you'll hear Nick give me a hard time about calling. Now, I don't call here to see the turkey coming in. I call to hear him gobble. I want to listen to that sun gun hammer off the limb. I don't care if he's on the limb. He's gonna be out of breath when he hits the ground because he's gonna have to come see me because he cannot. He's like, that is the loudest mouth hen. I'm like that old girl in the bar. I'm sitting over in the corner yelling all night. Somebody's going home with me at the end of the night. I promise you that. So
That's funny.
but I love the trumpet calls. My son plays one. He's got one of Kevin's. Like I said, last 2 years he's been able to call in birds with his. And there's a lot of great turkey call builders out there. Those are just the ones I prefer. And if you don't have one, get one. It ain't as easy as you'd think to play. It takes a lot of practice, but I keep one with me. It don't matter where I'm at. I've got a trumpet somewhere with me. So
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you kind of hopped in the turkey thing and just went full bore, wide open,
about
and
like everything I do.
yeah. But it seems like the calling is really kind of what pulled you in and just showed you the family aspect of it. Because I'm a big I've always been hunting, but like with duck hunting, you don't talk about spots. You don't like it. It's very divided. Deer hunting's very similar to that. You'll talk about it, but you're not telling people where you're hunting. It's pretty private. You're not taking people. But turkey hunting, man, when you get in that right group of guys, like you talked about, it's very everybody's so open to just, hey, come hunt with me, man. Don't worry, I got birds. If we can't get on them here, we'll bounce there. And I've been fortunate to know a lot of these guys who I grew up watching, like Scott Ellis, all these guys, Dave Owens, and it's so cool because they are just the nicest people. Shane come on, and it's just so cool to see these guys who are top tier guys, but you run into them and you just talk for hours, and then they'll send you the invite. Hey man, come hunt with me, or let's hunt together. And turkey is so unique in that aspect. Paul Campbell talks about the literature side of it. And I feel like turkey is just something that if the turkey gobbling and coming in spitting and drumming isn't the icing on the cake, the conversation with the guys at the tailgate, that's going to be it then.
Yeah, 100%. And I've said this time and time again that the history of turkey hunting and the things, and people's like, well, you shouldn't idolize things. And I agree with that. You shouldn't chase things. I like things. Anybody that knows me knows I got too much junk. Nick says it looks like a pawn shop that nothing ever leaves around here. I buy stuff or people pawn their stuff and I don't ever sell it. But I like the history behind turkey hunting. Now, I don't go down too far rabbit holes of some of the history stuff. I still think that there has to be a development to the new age, but you can bridge the gap. And that's what we try to do is bridge that gap to where the old ways are the old ways, but the way of hunting turkeys nowadays, like people inviting people, people telling you how to
Mhm.
do this, that ain't the old ways. That didn't happen
Mm-mm.
back in the
No.
day.
Yep.
They were
No.
tight-lipped. They wouldn't tell you nothing. They wouldn't and it was the same way with callers. You hear some of these guys that have came on and talked to us, they talk about that, not being able to get advice, not being able to get any help from, and then they find that one person that gives them a chance to learn something. And I think it can kind of be you can kind of teach too much. And I hope that
Mhm.
doesn't sound the wrong way, but when you give everyone the tools to be successful and they don't have to earn it,
Yeah.
it kind of hurts the craft. And if we, and I'm as guilty as anybody, I got a podcast. We talk tips, tactics, strategies. We tell how to do this, how to do that. Well, we got it at our fingertips now. What's a kid got to do to work for it? He can go buy him a
Mhm.
Matt Van Sice bot call and go to the first calling contest and watch every video on YouTube. Now, if he don't practice, he ain't gonna sound right because he can't prepare for that moment. But he can get 60 to 70% of what he needs to do anything in this world now at the palm of his hands.
Yep.
Are we losing a little bit of, you know, the learning curve? I kind of think so a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of that grit, because myself, I've turkey hunted my whole life. If somebody comes with me on one of my farms, it's gonna, I know where the birds are. We're gonna get on a bird. But if you go with somebody who, you come with me and then you go out on your own and you're new, that can be. I've seen it knock the wind right out of people's sails. They're like, well, I've done everything that yeah, but it's a different farm, it's a different setup. Are you hunting public,
Mhm.
private? There's a lot of trial by fire and trial by error that you have to learn. My greatest turkey hunts, the ones that are rent free in my head, are the ones that I did not walk out with that bird.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I've got some of those too. I mean, in my short time, I hunt hard when I go into something. Deer season's I love deer hunting. That's my
Mhm.
passion. But this whole turkey hunting thing, Kerry Terrell told me sitting again a white oak tree or some kind of tree in a swamp. He said, if this ever bites you, Alex, you're in trouble. He
Mhm.
said, you are in serious trouble. He said, because I know what kind of deer hunter you are. He said, if this ever bites you, you're in trouble. And damned if he wasn't right. I don't like to admit to
Yeah, you get to
it.
chase that adrenaline and it's warm. So you don't have to shiver while
It
doing it,
was
which is nice.
31 degrees on opening day. Yes, it's Saturday here. I like to have froze to death. I was wearing little thin breeches. And of course, now we went and sat in a blind. We didn't go, running, gunning, chasing after him, whatever. But I'm glad I took my son a blanket because he's 10 and he said, Dad, I'm cold. He don't hardly ever complain. He said, I'm hungry when that turkey gobbled. He said, Dad, I ain't hungry or cold no
Mhm.
more.
um, what's it like being a role model for your son and like the girls that you took hunting and these kids that are coming up in the Poult division, listening to your guys' podcasts and your videos? What's it mean to you to be a role model for these kids?
It is it is something I never worried about anything my whole life, and I wake up every morning worried now. I don't worry about stupid things like money. I ain't never gonna have much money. I like to spend it too much, but everything we do is looked at by someone now. And when Nick and I started the podcast, we'd started it on a foundation of friendship, wanting to tell stories and things like that. And last year he came to me, and said, man, I got something I want to talk to you about. I said, what is it? He said, I want to start reading a Bible verse out on every episode. He said, I want to do it at the beginning of it. He said, we're very devout. I'm by no means the perfect person. I do bad every day. I cuss. I tell people all the time, I cuss a lot and I drink more than I should, but I know better. And that's the key thing. I do know better because I do have a relationship with God, and we wanted to start sharing that. And I'll be honest with you, 2024 was one of the biggest blessings of anything we've ever had go on in our life. We got involved with the right people, we got around the right people, and we started realizing that there are people watching us. And so the things that we had done when we first started, simple things, drinking a beer in the booth at a show we're at. We don't do that anymore. The bad talk, the around campfire talk or whatever you want to call it. We don't do that anymore. Now we'll say a cuss word every once in a while because I'm human and that's just who I am, but I watch it. And trying to be a role model in today's world is one of the toughest things that you can do because there's so many things against you. And you can't hide it from them. They're gonna see it. They're gonna be a part of it, but you have to teach them right from wrong. And I honestly believe having a strong faith in God in some form of, and however you do it, there's a million different ways for somebody to find God, and how they choose to go that path is their own. For me, it's about a devotional every day when I wake up. I don't go to church like I should, but my kids know about God. And we try to share that with people through the podcast and through everything we do and showing our, reverence to the good Lord. I mean, and I think that's the base of what a lot of people miss in this world, that, yeah, sure, it's great to do good. Yeah, sure, it's great to teach people all these things. But at the end of the day, to us and to me, that's the most important thing. And if you teach that, it will ultimately lead someone to be a better person. I don't disagree how anyone wants to do it, but just do it. And that's just who we are, and we keep faith at the forefront. I wish we'd have started it earlier. It might have it might have kept us out of some trouble on some stuff, but at the same time, it is what it is. You live and you learn. That's what we do. We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. That's just who we try to be. I mean, just try to be better. Be better today than you were yesterday. Just a little bit. Don't have to be much. Just be a little bit better. Just a little bit better than you was yesterday. Then you're gonna backslide a little bit. Don't worry about today. Try to do better tomorrow, and and it's so much you just are happier. I'm a happy person anyway, but literally Saturday morning I was standing in my kitchen cooking biscuits and I was thinking, this is a beautiful morning. This is an absolutely gorgeous morning we're gonna have. It's gonna be cool. Maybe we can get on a turkey, but not get on, not try to preach to y'all or you listeners, but there's going to be a morning one day when all the dead rise, and that's going to be a morning I'm looking forward to. I mean, I'm here to tell you, I was in the kitchen ready to shout. I mean, it just come over me, and that relationship I have with God, for me, just it meant so much to me. And then, of course, I probably cussed half a dozen times on the way to the stand, tripping over sticks and stuff. But I just that moment, and you have those moments, and my son getting up and being able to come in there and talk to him about what the day means to him, and taking the girls and being able to show them that they were making all the boys at school jealous. Now they got to go to hammer on two big long beards with two old boys that run a podcast somewhere, and we videoed the whole thing. We'll put it on our YouTube page and everything, and they get to share that and they get to talk to people about that. But the way we paint that story, if we don't do anything else in this world but just try one more time to be better tomorrow. That's what it means to me. I mean, and I'm just a happy person, guys. Y'all figure that out about me. You see me out somewhere, I might be feeling like crud because I stayed up way too late the night before, but I'm gonna be smiling and happy to see folks. So
couldn't have said it better myself, man. There's been several mornings where I, feeling a little rough from the night before, especially at a deer camp or a turkey camp, and you're like, man, but you just keep powering through it. And, just like I think, Dylan, you mentioned that last episode or the episode before, like just us, like, talking back and forth before the songbirds and everybody started waking up in the woods. And then all of a sudden it was just like, and then everything started waking up. Birds start hammering. Hear the hens from 2 ridges over, and we just look at each other like, "Dude, we got it made."
Yeah, it's almost like you can feel it all just come together, and there's just that a few minutes where you're just enjoying the calm because you know what can happen, and you're just like, "Less." And the older you get, the more you enjoy it, and the more you take the time to stop and look around at your buddies and see that excitement. But man, there really is that moment. Isaac talked about it. It's like everything just turns on and everything makes sense. You
it
don't know
don't happen
why.
in the fall either. It does not happen
Nope.
in deer woods. I'm telling you, boys, I didn't know that. I wasted 35 years not figuring that out. It don't work the same as it does on the spring mornings.
And that's true. It really is.
Yeah, turkey hunting does something for your soul for sure. But, deer hunting does too. You know what I mean? Like opening morning of Indiana firearm season, Dylan came up for the weekend to hunt with me. And we didn't get into the day. I mean, it was in the first 5 minutes that he could legally pull his trigger. We saw a shooter at a shootable distance. It was in a spot where we couldn't pull the trigger because it was on neighboring property. But it was just like we didn't have time to get that feeling or even get close to that. It was just like, boom, oh my God, there he is. What can we do? And then we had the next 14 hours to try to figure it out, and get our mind wrapped around it. And then he ended up taking his first Indiana buck, with half hour left of daylight or something like that.
Yeah.
And it made the whole trip, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's wild. And yeah, fighting pneumonia on a tree stand that I was scared I was going to fall out of, not because it was not safe, but I'm used to climbers and actual, I guess, double man stands. So I was moving, I was holding the stick behind my head, and I was holding, and I was fully strapped to the tree. I wasn't going nowhere quick, but it is something, man. You can look at your buddy, and there's a clip from him when I was working some birds last year, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, but they gobble, 50 yards, and he just looks at me, and I'm like, yep, that's it, man. And like you can talk without physically talking.
Yeah, I mean it's just different. I mean, and I don't you do things in life that can lead you to things and lead you to do this and lead you to do that. And uh, turkey hunting is one of those things that my dad never turkey hunted. That's why I never got into it. We fished. I mean, we fished. I used to bass fish, tournament bass fish, and crappie fish, and striper fish, and trout fish, and trout season always opened when turkey season opened here in Georgia, and same weekend pretty much. And we went trout fishing. That's what we did. And being able to experience that was a different, mindset. That's just what we did. And but I've said before, and I've said it again. I said I'd never be a turkey hunter. I swore up and down. I said, y'all are crazy. I said, I'm going fishing. Ain't no way I'm going out there and walking around this. Yeah, well, boys, let me tell you what, crow tastes real good because I've eaten more of it than anybody ought to. Because you go back and listen to the first 150 episodes of Talk About It Outdoors, you'll probably hear it more than once. I ain't no turkey hunter. I used to hate talking turkeys. I'd just sit there nearly asleep. I'm talking about talking to Will Primos and talking to oh goodness, talking to Waddell about turkey. I didn't care nothing about that crap. Let's talk deer hunting, boys. Yeah, well, crow tastes real good. I'm just here to tell
Yeah.
you.
It's one of those things, if you go with somebody and it you don't hear one gobble, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I could not do this again, but if you go with somebody and they put a bird in your lap or you get close, man, that's game over.
Yeah, I mean, and it's first time I ever went turkey hunting. I was 16 years old. I went with a gentleman named Marvin Poole. I got one of his wing bones over there in my cabinet, still in his vest when he died. His daughter gave it to me, and I'll cherish it till the day I die. Didn't know what it meant till now, but me and Marvin went, struck a bird, didn't have a clue what we was doing, slipped in there and got on him, come off of a ridge. Marvin's laying down in front of a log, running a little old wing bone call, and I've got a 870 pointed right at this turkey. Well, Marvin is laying behind this log 20 yards in front of me, and that turkey's strutting behind him. And
Oh
Marvin's
my
looking at me
God.
going, shoot, shoot, with his mouth. I can't hear him, but I see him, and I'm like, I can't shoot. If I shoot, I'm going to shoot you. I don't know if you understand this or not. Finally, turkey catches me moving because I ain't got enough sense to sit still. And he puts off, and Marvin sets up out of them leaves. Now, he's raked in leaves, and it's just that's an old school turkey hunter right there. He sets up and he says, "Why didn't you shoot him?" I said, "Marvin, if I'd have shot that turkey, I'd have shot you." He said, "Son, what a way to go." I said, this ain't for me. This is you're a little crazy out here. But
Yeah.
that was the first turkey hunting experience. And I was 16. I went with Nick when I was 18. We didn't get a bird killed, had one come in, just didn't get it done. But it was a lot of years between. I mean, you're talking 18 years nearly between those hunts then to where I am now. And I don't know that it's the turkey hunting that I mean, I love going, I love being a part of it, but it's just something about the like y'all said, the wake up of the morning, it's different. The woods, they look different. The trees, they look different. Where we're in the fall and we're watching things die, you're getting to watch things come back to life in the spring. And you see the little Tweety birds, and you see the songbirds, and you see things that you just don't see in the deer stand. And don't get me wrong, end of the day, I'm a deer hunter. If you told me I had to give up one or the other, I'm giving it up. But it's something about a spring morning.
Absolutely, man. Talk about your 2025 season. What you got in store, where you're going, all that
Ooh.
good stuff.
Lord have mercy. So we will go. I will hunt Georgia opener next weekend, and then I will be in Jessup, Georgia, hunting on the Savannah River with some friends of mine that live down there. They've got a big dogging club. I'm going down to hunt with them on their property. I'll come back, be home for a week. Then we have Easter, and my son and I always hunt Easter together. That's just kind of last year we did, and we're going to try to do it this year again. And after that, I start North Carolina. I'll travel up there and hunt with my great friend Hunter Dinsmore, same gentleman I hunted with last year. Can't wait to get back up there. What I've learned now, so I'll hunt with Hunter. Come back and I'll go to I'll try to go to Kentucky. That's my next trip. I want to try to get into Kentucky. He's got a farm in Kentucky we can hunt. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to swing that one or not, but I'm gonna try. And then I'll spend the last weekend of the season, if nothing changes between now and then, with the KT team. I always go down and hunt with those guys that last weekend. And then after that, it's coyotes, coyotes, coyotes. We thermal hunt with for coyotes. I'm actually picking up my new scope when I go down to Jessup from the Southern Precision guys, and I love. Everybody asks, what made you? What do you think made you gravitate and do well, so far learning turkey hunting? Is coyote hunting, communicating with animals. I coyote hunted for Cody Watson, and I was doing it with lights for his thermal game was going on. And communicating with those animals taught me that you ain't just making noise, you're saying something. If you're yelping, you're doing cutting, you flying that, you're doing something. Same way with coyotes. If you're howling, if you're distressed, if you're, fighting, whatever, you're playing a game with them. And so I'll coyote hunt through the summer, and then it'll be Illinois bound on Labor Day for dove season and getting deer stands ready for hunting up there in the fall. You tell me I had one trip to make all year and I could only make it, it'd be the first week in November in Southern Illinois. That's where I'm gonna be bow hunting, and I
Guarantee it.
love it. That's my favorite place in the world. I've got a great friend of mine I met a few years ago up there. He and I built a great friendship, and he lets me hunt with him. And we hunted public land up there for years, killed some great deer on public land, and had great success. Got to hunt with him. I've only killed one buck on his farm, but I've had a chance at some world class whitetails hunting with him, and travel around the southeast hunting in the fall, and that'll pretty much be it. But I ain't looking that far ahead. I'm looking 5 days from now. We're gonna get on some turkeys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Dylan can kind of contest. You guys are somewhat close to each other as far as deer hunting and stuff goes, and then coming to the Midwest where I'm at, it is a whole nother ball game up here. I love it. I haven't really hunted the South that much for deer. I went to Tennessee velvet hunting last
Keep
year.
your butt up there. Don't be coming down here. You ain't missing nothing. I promise you that.
Yeah, it's 97 degrees and I'm up in the stand velvet hunting. That's definitely a change. I mean, I've done it in Kentucky for some years now, but I don't know. It was another chance to come down and hang with a buddy and have it was just us two, and we still considered it a camp, basically.
Yeah.
We're out sitting at the bonfire at 10:30 at night, just drinking beer, just having a good old time, just us.
And that's the Midwest to me is where I go to see something different. Just like you said, Brett, coming down here to the South, it was different.
Mhm.
And I still love bow hunting here. I primarily bow hunt. Like I said, we used to go to Iowa for shotgun. It was a trip my dad and my uncle wanted to go on every year, so we'd go up and party hunt with some guys, and totally different deer hunting than anything I'd ever done. Walking ditches and jumping deer and doing all this, and it was great. I had a lot of fun. We don't go anymore. They changed the laws up there where non-residents can't party hunt anymore. So we can draw a buck tag, but we're in the lottery now to draw one every other year. So, but Illinois, I love going up there because I like spending time with my buddy Brock that lives up there. But it's just you're 1 second away from killing the biggest deer you will ever see in your entire life. That fast.
Yeah.
Here, you can test this, Dylan. You'll hunt your whole life. The biggest buck I've ever seen might be a 150-inch deer in Georgia. Now, Seek One, they're hunting in the suburbs. They ain't hunting where I'm at. I'm in the hills, And so, but to be able to do what they do and get to hunt where they do, hey, Blee's the best deer hunter in the United States right now, hands down. I don't care what anybody says. That's my opinion. He's a Georgia boy, and he does it his way, and don't back down. But me, Alex is going to Southern Illinois to get in on it. And I might try Illinois or Indiana one of these days. I ain't far from it where I'm at. So
yeah, come on over, bud.
Yeah, it was really cool for me. I'm hunting big chunks of hardwood, just big mature oaks and stuff like that. I can see 150 yards when the leaves fall off the tree, and then you go up there and it's like, dude, I barely see any trees. Like, you're hunting little pockets of trees and I'm just like, where the heck do they come from? Like, you tell me they just pop out.
Out of the ground.
I swear to you, they do. I turned around, there was doe. Turned around, there's a buck. I mean, I'm just like, this is like they're spawning. Somebody missed one over here, and it just God puts him back over here. He's like,
and you don't saddle hunt, Dylan?
Mm-mm.
How about you, Brett?
Oh, I love it, bud. I'm a big saddle hunter.
Tell us, son, get a song ready, boys, because saddle hunting has changed the game for a while.
That's what I've heard.
We love it, buddy. Let me tell you something. That's who we partnered with Cruiser Saddles when we got our start right off the rip, and we have run them ever since. And let me tell you something, there is nothing in this world better than strapping your butt in the saddle. It's the game changer of all game changers on deer hunting. If you're a bow hunter, rifle hunting, I still like to get in the ladder stand or whatever, but bow hunting, game over.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to break down and just
for sure. I'm gonna ask you one final question, and it pertains to turkey hunting. And you may have heard me ask this to several different people now, but if you had one person you could choose, past or present, to turkey hunt with, who are you choosing?
Oh, I mean, it'd be Sawyer, my son. I mean,
Yeah.
if he's the one I enjoy hunting with. I mean, nothing against my dad. My dad and I went last year, and I called my first bird in, and my dad killed it. And then I called my first bird in on the same hunt, same time that I killed in the same hunt. We doubled up opening morning last year of Georgia. And I would love to say that my last turkey hunt would be with him, but it'd be my son. I mean, Sawyer loves it. It's the one thing he enjoys most. And he's good at it. He's so patient. He's got ice in his veins. I hope he stays that way when it comes to his hunting, because he'll make an amazing deer hunter, but his patience is it's just something to be admired, for a 10-year-old. He doesn't play sports, it's not his thing. He likes his games, but he spends time out here on the farm. We live on a pretty good chunk of property here, and he spends time in the woods with his cousins and stuff playing, and I mean, I guess that would have to be it for me. He would be the one to, my dad taught me everything I know, but I was able to teach my dad something last year when it comes to turkey hunting. But my turkey hunting mentor, if I can add to that question, is Nick Wilson, hands down. He's one of the best friends I've ever had in my life. He's my partner in crime when it comes to this podcasting and outdoor stuff, and he's one of the best people I've ever known in my life. But when it comes to turkey hunting, he's nasty on them. I tell you, he's good. He's really, really good.
All I can hear is you and your son in the woods, and it's like, boy, if you miss this shot, I'm whooping your ass.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah. Well, now it's a running joke with us because I start to do it. I'm doing like tell him go clean your room. He's like, "Oh yeah, Dad's doing a TikTok. I'm gonna get my ass whooped." And it's like, "No, I'm serious. So you got to go clean your room."
How did that come about?
Oh my
That whole
goodness.
bit.
So my wife's best friend, her name's Victoria, and I grew up with Victoria and Bryn, and they introduced me to my wife when we were not. I was 19, she was 18, still in school, and we've been friends for years, and we have a swimming pool at our house, and so they're over here in the summertime and stuff. And they have a little boy. He's like 6 or 7 now. His name's Baker, and I tell people all the time, Baker's my kid. I just didn't get the fun in making him. And he is me made over. He loves outdoors. He's got a mullet. He's just country as could be. I mean, he's always into something. Just never fails. He's gonna get into something. And she was running around behind him. I'm gonna whip your ass this. I'm gonna whip your ass that. Yada yada. And I was making fun of her and like mocking her. And I was videoing it. And she said, "Don't post that nowhere." And I was like, all right, whatever. So later on that afternoon, I made a video and I was like, I'm just going to make this video and post it on my TikTok, see what happens. So I did. Well, the next morning I got up and I didn't even pay attention to it. I'd got some views on it or whatever. And I made another one. I'd laid in bed all night thinking of this stuff, just laughing. And made this video out here in the yard on Sunday morning. Turned my phone off. We hung out at the pool, didn't pay no attention to it. Got up Monday morning, my phone was off. And I don't charge my phone at night. I generally keep it, just I don't never charge it at night. Just a habit I got into, and it lays wherever. It was off. Plug it up. 200 and something thousand notifications from TikTok.
Oh my
Video
god!
went viral, and I was like, "Holy crap, we got something here, boys!" So, me being the opportunist that I am, run with it and you know, get to 100,000 followers that fast. I don't even know what happened. It's like, these videos are getting 1 million views for something I heard my whole life. Get off that
Yeah.
feed bin. Quit climbing on that gate. Quit playing in the ant bed. Just quit whittling with that knife. Just all kinds of stuff I'd always heard and everybody'd heard. So that's where that came from. And I actually quit doing it for a while. I mean, it just wasn't something I just got bored with it. And I tend to do that. I just got tired of making the videos and stuff. And I'll make one every once in a while. And I started spinning it over to, our podcast and stuff like that. And it's turned, more viewers on it or whatever. But what's always cool to me is when I see somebody out in public, at a show or whatever, and they'll look at me and they'll walk, and I always just say, "Yeah, I'm that guy that whips his kid's ass," or somebody will walk up behind me and say, "You want your ass whooped," or
That's
whatever.
funny.
It's been fun to meet folks. I've met some really cool people with it. It's something that I mean, everybody's like, I can't believe you got that many followers. I'm like, what does it really matter though? You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I got my buddies,
Yeah.
I got my friends, I got to meet you fellas. I mean, to me, that's what's cool. I mean,
For
I'm
sure.
just try to enjoy life. That's all I can say.
That's awesome, man. Well, I really do appreciate you coming on and spending your night with us, man. I've had a freaking blast tonight doing this.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope I didn't talk too much. I tend to do that at times.
Hey, that's what podcasting's all about, man.
Yeah, it's like I said, y'all really do a great job with y'all show. I don't know how long y'all been doing this. You were talking about spending 2-3 episodes a week. I mean, it's a grind. You guys know that. But I will say that of the ones I've listened to through the years, and it's unfortunate that I hadn't listened to y'all's already because I want to go back and listen to some of your other episodes now because y'all do a fine job with it. You don't talk over folks. You ask the right questions, and to me, you have a very well put together show, and I look forward to hopefully one day shaking y'all's hands in public.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate the kind words, man. It really does mean a lot.
Yes, sir.
Dylan, you got anything before we wrap it up, bud?
No, Alex, if you guys ain't doing nothing April 12th, Tennessee opener, we're having the roundup. Feel free to shoot up, turkey hunt, hang out. We're
What
having
is April the 12th? Let me
That'd
the
be the
weekend
weekend
before
before
Easter.
Easter. Yeah.
So I'll be in Jessup that weekend before, and don't tempt me with a good time.
Come
Hey,
on,
buddy, come on with
load them
it.
up and come on. We've got a good group of guys going to come in and hunt. And then, yeah, we're all just going to go hunt different spots. Some guys hitting public, some's hitting private. And then that
I got
afternoon,
private right over the mountain. I can just
see,
run right up to it. So it
hey,
There
might
you
we
go.
might have to
we're
make
going to have
something work.
we're going to have the smoker going. Once everybody starts rolling in, I think we're going to throw some chicken wings on the smoker and, man, just hang out and just tailgate talk for a while, and everybody meshes. There's Michigan, Indiana, Georgia. I mean, the guys are coming from all over just to hang out and have a good time.
You chill, man. Well, if y'all ain't got nothing going on August 16th, I know it's a ways away, but we have a bow shoot every year down here
Here
in
we go.
Georgia that we got. We always got guys that come from Texas and Mississippi and Louisiana and Georgia. And, there's guys from all over. We'll have anywhere from 200 to 300 shooters here. It's been a big turnout the last few years. We got a 3D course we set up on the farm down to the woods. So
Oh,
if
that's
any of
awesome.
your listeners or y'all, you got anything, you ain't got nothing going on, keep a look on Instagram, and
Don't
we'll,
tempt me
Absolutely.
with a good time.
Yeah.
it's a blast. It's
Hey,
a
I'll come
blast.
loose some arrows.
We set up a steel deer target. We got a 20-something yard steel deer target with a 6-inch circle and then a 3-inch circle, and we always have some cool prizes for that. And then we have a long shot, and we have a saddle shot. The cruiser guys come and set up their booths and stuff, and set up a saddle. And we shoot out of a saddle to win a saddle and stuff like that. So
That's
Awesome.
awesome, man. Well, Alex, tell everybody where they can find you and all your stuff on socials and stuff.
So real quick, just want to say thanks to my team, Nick Wilson, Cody Watson, Chris King, Tyler Moore, Caleb Wilson, Cody Mayo, Mark Tucker. Love you boys. Appreciate everything they do. Without them, we are nothing. It's just I've got a team of guys that you couldn't ask for it to be any better. You can go over to talkaboutitoutdoors.com, catch all our media links. You can find us on Facebook, Talk About It Outdoors. You can find us on YouTube at Chasing Weekends. You can follow me, Alex DeBord, on any of the socials. If I don't know you on Facebook, I ain't adding you. Sorry. That's just I'm almost at 5,000 people on there, and I got to limit who it is. So go follow the podcast pages and stuff like that. If you're interested in anything to do with turkey calling, if I can ever help you out in any way when it comes to competition calling, please send me a message. I love talking to people about turkey calling, competitions. If I can help you out in any way, or if you're just down on life, listen, there's always a better tomorrow. I don't care what position you're in. Someone out there is always in a worse position. If you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody to pray for, you send me a message because I'd be glad to do it anytime. Like I said, I appreciate y'all having me on, and let's go into turkey season with a bang, boys.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, if you're still in podcast land, appreciate it. Give us a rate and review. Leave us a comment, anything like that. YouTube, like and subscribe, and we'll be back here again next week for episode 110 with Joey Bell from the Southern Collective. See you guys next week.